everyone, so we are learning about corneal ulcer. So first of all we will say about the definition of an ulcer. Ulcer means there will be a break in the epithelium. So here in corneal ulcer there will be a break in the corneal epithelium, but the definition is not complete. So we know that in cornea we have 5 layers: epithelium, Bowman's membrane, corneal stroma, Descemet's membrane and endothelium. So there is a break in the corneal epithelium, and later for example if there is a foreign body enter, then that can slough off the epithelium, but it can get regenerated. The epithelium can grow back again. So that is just a corneal abrasion or erosion. But in corneal ulcer, that means here there will be a break in the corneal epithelium with underlying necrosis of the cells. Then it is called as corneal ulcer. So as a line of defense, WBC will come to that area and it will surround this invading organisms just like bacteria, fungus, like that. So what happens is that some of the WBC will settle down in the anterior chamber of the eye, and that is observed as hypopyon. So in this picture you can see the hypopyon, and this hypopyon is because of settling of WBC in the anterior chamber of the eye, and hypopyon is observed in 2 conditions: in the corneal ulcer, also in anterior uveitis. So it is very important to differentiate between these two, because the line of treatment is different. In anterior uveitis we give steroids. At the same time in corneal ulcer, steroids are contraindicated. We usually prescribe antibiotics or antimicrobials, like that. So it is very important to distinguish between these two. So when you see a hypopyon, you have to find out whether it is a corneal ulcer or whether it is an anterior uveitis. So in corneal ulcer, steroids are contraindicated. If you are giving steroids, that can even worsen the condition, that can lead to complications. It can aggravate and cause perforation and all. Now a person, if getting corneal ulcer, the earliest symptom that the patient is presenting, it will be photophobia. That means the patient will be having hypersensitivity towards light, or it is intolerant to light. So that is the earliest symptom, but the most important symptom is pain. So pain will be the defining symptom. And why there is so much of pain? It is because in the corneal tissue you have high density of nerve endings. So that is the reason why you are getting pain in corneal ulcer. So you can classify corneal ulcer, first of all, based on the location. You can classify it as peripheral, central, paracentral. So when it is overlying the pupil, it will be central. When it is near to the corneoscleral limbus, it will be peripheral. In between the central and peripheral, that region is paracentral. Now based on the involvement of the corneal layers, it can be either superficial or it can be the deep. So the first picture is showing the superficial involvement, and the second one is showing the deep involvement of the corneal layers. Now the etiology, based on the etiology you can broadly classify this into 2. One is infective cause and non-infective cause. So the infective cause, it can be like a bacteria, virus, fungus or protozoa. Non-infective causes, it can be neuroparalytic, neurotrophic or vitamin A deficiency and Moran ulcer. So we will be discussing them in detail. So infective causes, we have said that it can be bacteria, fungus, virus, protozoa. So the bacteria, mostly it is Staph aureus and the Streptococcus pneumonia, but also some other bacteria can cause corneal ulcer. We will be discussing that. And the fungus, mostly it is Fusarium and Aspergillus, but Candida can also cause corneal ulcer. and in case of virus it is mainly two, herpes simplex virus and varicella zoster virus. In the protozoa, acanthamoeba is involved. So first of all, we are saying about the bacterial ulcer. We will be discussing about the different stages. So you can see here the different 4 stages. Okay, so first of all, the stage of progressive infiltration. So there will be infiltration of the polymorphonuclear leukocytes. Also the lymphocytes will infiltrate into the epithelium. They will cause necrosis. Now second one, it is stage of active ulceration. So the second stage is stage of active ulceration. Here the epithelium will be sloughed off, even the Bowman's membrane also, and there will be necrosis. So the ulcer wall, you can see it is projecting, and the floor will show grayish infiltration, and there will be sloughing also. And into the circumcorneal vessels, that means the blood vessels near surrounding the cornea, there will be hyperemia. There will be vascular congestion of the iris and ciliary body. So there will be absorption of the toxins from the ulcer. So due to the absorption of this toxin from this ulcer into the iris, that can even cause iritis. The inflammation can be there for the iris also. And the exudates can deposit into the anterior chamber from the vessels of iris and ciliary body. So we have said that the peripheral circulation near the cornea is very congested. There is vascular congestion. Even in the iris and ciliary body there will be vascular congestion. From this ulcer, even the toxins can get absorbed into that region and there can get inflammation. So in the anterior chamber, from this congested vessels, blood vessels of this iris and the ciliary body, the exudates can deposit into the anterior chamber of eye from this peripheral circulation, and that can cause hypopyon. So here we are saying about bacterial ulcer. So in bacterial corneal ulcer, it will be sterile. This hypopyon will be sterile and it will be mobile. Of course, we will discuss that in detail. Okay, so now you just understand that there will be hypopyon, and in bacterial case it will be sterile and it will be mobile. So the ulcer, it can either progress laterally and it can cause a diffused superficial ulceration, or either it can progress deep and it can cause desmetocele perforation. That means it can even go deeper into the Descemet's membrane and all and cause a perforation. So that is the second stage. So second stage was actually very active. That was the stage of active ulceration. So that can either go laterally and involve the entire superficial cornea, or it can go deeper and involve other layers, and hypopyon will be there. There will be vascular congestion. Okay. Now next is stage of regression. So now it starts to heal. At this stage, the host defense mechanism is getting more and more active. The humoral immunity, the cellular immunity, and of course we are giving treatment, so appropriate treatment, all of this. And there will be a line of demarcation will develop. The ulcer will start to heal. Epithelium will start to grow over the edges. So till that, you know, in the second one you can see it is projecting the epithelium, but now later in the third stage, in the stage of healing, regression, it is starting to grow. The epithelium is starting to grow and epithelium forms in the fourth stage. Stage of cicatrization. cicatrization. Here you can see that the epithelium has formed, and below that the fibrous tissue has formed by the corneal fibroblast, so the healing will continue. Now if only the superficial layer, that means the epithelium of the corneum is involved, if only that is involved, there will be no scar. At the same time, if even the Bowman's membrane is involved, then there will be a scar. So corneal scar is because of the involvement of Bowman's membrane. Okay. If just only the epithelium is involved, that means superficial, there will be no scar. So these are the 4 stages. First one, it is stage of infiltration, active ulceration, regression, cicatrization. So we are dealing with bacterial ulcer. Which are the bacteria causing corneal ulcer? They are Staph aureus and Streptococcus pneumonia. Okay, so these are the 2 important bacteria which are causing corneal ulcer, and the predisposing factor for this, it can be like a foreign body can enter into the eye, and something has fallen into the eye and we will rub it and we are not removing, it is just persisting there itself in the eye. So what happens? That can slough the epithelium. The foreign body can slough the epithelium, and through that the bacteria will enter. Or sometimes you can sleep when you have some kind of trauma, or even if you slept with a contact lens. So all these are the predisposing factors for these bacterial infections, this Staph aureus and Streptococcus pneumonia. So what I am trying to say is that mainly these 2 bacteria will cause corneal ulcer when you already have an epithelial erosion. Already there is a sloughing off of the epithelium. It can be because of a foreign body or trauma, or you have slept with the contact lens. These can become the predisposing factors. But some other bacteria, even in intact epithelium, they can enter. That means they are very aggressive, so they can enter even if it is an intact epithelium. So the examples of such bacteria: Corynebacterium, diphtheria, Neisseria, meningitis and gonorrhea. That means meningococcus, gonococcus, Haemophilus influenza, Listeria and Shigella. So these are the examples for the bacteria which are very aggressive, and they can even enter even if the epithelium is intact. So they have risk of corneal ulcer even when conjunctivitis. When I am saying about gonococcus can actually cause conjunctivitis. Plus, there will be systemic features also like urethritis, arthritis. So, in that cases, though the systemic involvement is also there, the bacteria can even affect the cornea also. Corneal involvement can also be there. They can invade the corneal epithelium also. Okay. So that is very important to remember. Even sometimes gonococcus, they can have the systemic involvement, they can cause conjunctivitis, and they can even go deeper. That means involve the corneal epithelium. That can also happen. So these are the important things. Staph aureus and Streptococcus pneumonia, they can involve the corneal epithelium. They can cause ulcer when there is an already epithelial erosion, but even in intact epithelium, some other aggressive bacteria can enter. So these are the examples. So this is the picture of bacterial ulcer. So what you are seeing here, it is the hypopyon in bacterial ulcer. So it is very important to remember the features of this hypopyon. Mainly, you have to remember that in case of two bacteria, it is very dangerous. This hypopion is very dangerous. One is pneumococcus and pseudomonas. So, in pneumococcus, most importantly, you have to remember that pneumococcus, it is called as the corneal ulcer is called hypopion corneal ulcer. So actually every bacteria can produce hypopion, but this is very dangerous in case of two bacteria when it is caused by pneumococcus and when it is caused by pseudomonas. In pneumococcus, we even call it this corneal ulcer caused by pneumococcus, we even call it as hypopion corneal ulcer. Okay. So the characteristic feature of this bacterial hypopion in hypopion in case of a bacterial corneal ulcer, it is sterile and mobile, unlike fungus. So here in bacteria there is no hyphae and all to penetrate into the exudates. So that's why it is sterile. It will not penetrate into that exudates. It is sterile. Why it is not penetrating? Because there is no hyphae for bacteria. Now it is mobile also. That means you ask the patient to move the head. So the hypopion moves. If you ask the patient to tilt the head and after 5 minutes you are asking, the head is in the normal position, the hypopion will be changing its direction. It will be moving. The position will be changed. It will be gravity dependent. For example, so initially the hypopion is in this position. Now you ask the patient to tilt the head and move and put it in the normal position. Because of the gravity dependent, the hypopion have changed its position. So it is, we understand that it is mobile, and you can see this feature in case of a bacterial corneal ulcer. Okay. So when you look into the symptoms and signs of a bacterial corneal ulcer, in the symptoms mostly you get pain, irritation and a blurred vision. There will be photophobia, redness, watering, discharge and eyelid swelling. And what are the signs you are getting? Epithelial defect with large infiltrate and conjunctival injection, anterior chamber reaction and hypopion. So remember that hypopion, it will be sterile and mobile. Now when you look at this, you can see this is actually corneal scrapings. So it is an investigation. You can do a corneal scrapings and you can go for a gram stain. So if it is gram positive, it will be purple, or gram negative, it will be pink. Either you can also do a culture. So you can do a culture like, this is one example, blood agar media for Staph aureus. Or you can do a chocolate agar media, that is for Neisseria meningitidis. Or you can do a McConkey agar. Now regarding the treatment of bacterial corneal ulcer, you can give topical treatment. Topical treatment like topical 4th generation fluoroquinolones. Examples are moxifloxacin and jatifloxacin. So why we are not giving systemic drugs? Because we know cornea is avascular. So giving systemic treatment will not be useful. So we are giving topical drugs. But in case of what we have told like gonococcus and all, we have told that it can cause systemic diseases. Systemic involvement can be there. So in that cases, of course, we can give such drugs. Otherwise, we prefer, or we are giving topical drugs. So that is about bacterial corneal ulcer. That's all. Thank you.